In the world of the unknown, two souls combine to experience and unite the paranormal with its history. Join Paul and Chris on a quest to find answers only at Experiences of the Unknown.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Experiences of the Unknown.
What is going on, guys? I decided to give Paul a little go-ahead to do the intro.
And I did it.
You did great. What is going on, guys? Welcome. This is our number one episode of Experiences of the Unknown podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Actually, tonight we're going to be talking about ourselves instead of everybody else.
I know. This is the first for us. Having to talk about ourselves is not something easy.
Something I'm used to. But
yeah, Paul's used to it.
I'm used to it.
So what is Experiences of the Unknown, Paul? Let's talk about that. What is Experiences of the Unknown?
You tell us.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Since I started it off, you can start this off and I'll go with the flow.
All right. So Experiences of the Unknown is a combination between old school and new school. You got the old school and the new school.
Really old
investigations
school.
regarding to unknown cases. Cases that have absolutely no logical explanation behind it. Right?
Right on.
You want to tell them a little more?
No, you could tell them. Yeah.
So practically, we're going to be talking about cases that have no meaning behind it, that have absolutely no explanation behind it, is
right.
more of what I should say. No explanation behind it, and practically what the name sounds, talking about experiences that people have had of unknown cases.
Right. Because we would like to hit places that nobody's ever been to.
Right. And not only are we going to be talking about ghosts, we're going to be talking about ghosts, we're going to be talking about Bigfoot, we're going to be talking about UFOs, anything that is unknown, anything that has no logical explanation behind it. Right?
Right on.
All right, so we'll start with you, Paul. Tell us about yourself. What made you, where you come from? Like, just give us a background of who is Paul.
Well, I was born in 1966, 54 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago. They didn't have TV back then, did they?
No, I guess not.
In a small town, Beverly, New Jersey, which is a hot spot for paranormal. I grew up in the paranormal field because my family was the first family to start their own group in our county, Bronson County, back in the late 50s. So I grew up listening to stories and listening to all the investigations that my family went on and listened to all the EVPs but yeah, then
Just went on from there?
Yeah, I just went off from there and just wished that one day they would take me. Because I always asked to go. I said, "In order, can I go? You're too young. And I'm like, I used to sit down and cry when I was little. I remember crying because I wasn't allowed to go to the cemetery or whatever they were investigating that night.
Yeah.
But when I was 16 years old, my aunt looked at me, she goes, all right, you're old enough. Man, I grabbed my equipment.
That's probably the best day of your life.
Best day of my life.
Best day of his life.
How about you?
Me? So practically, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself. I was originally born and raised in Puerto Rico. It's about 8 to 9 years old. I came to the United States. I've always had an interest into the paranormal, anything that had to do with the unknown. I've had a couple experiences when I was younger, which actually got me into the paranormal.
Well, Puerto Rico's a hotbed for paranormal.
It is. There's a lot of stories in Puerto Rico that have no explanation behind it. A lot of folklore stories that people like to talk about. I never got to experience anything down there. I did experience something. I'll take that back. But I never got to actually do any investigations or go out and look for some of the things that people generally talked about.
Because you were probably like me. You were probably young at the time where nobody would even think about taking you out.
I was about 8 to 9 years old when I came here to the United States. But with that being said, what really got me into the paranormal was my old house that I used to
How old were you when you came over?
8 to 9, right around 8 or 9. I think my 9th birthday was here.
Wow.
Yeah, I was A long time ago. It's about 20
Long
years
time
ago.
ago.
It's about 20 years ago.
What are you, 21?
Well, if I was 9, it was 20 years ago, like 29. But that was definitely where were we? Okay, so this is what you guys are gonna experience a lot in this podcast. There's a lot of little what's the word I'm looking for here?
Speechless?
Yeah, just about.
Usually that's me. Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to mess up quite a bit. I'm going to like stutter some words. I'm going to get shy and not speak. But hey, that's who I am.
Hey, that's who we are.
That's who we are.
That's
That's who we are.
We're gonna mess up. We're gonna leave the mess ups on here so you guys can laugh with us.
But you know what though? When it's time to investigate, we know our shit.
Shit gets
We know our
real.
shit.
It gets real.
It gets real.
But we're very professional when we investigate. You might see us like playing around here, like just talking about things. It's because we're in the studio. We're in a comfortable place that we're used to.
Right.
You know, but once we're out and about and doing investigations and things like that, then we're pretty professional for
Right.
the most part.
I mean, we go out, we have a good time, but when it comes down to business, we're all business.
Correct. And that's one of the things like we'll talk about down the road. When you do investigation, you never want to come into an investigation feeling like negative or anything like
Right.
that, because that can cause a lot of activity that can have a negative impact on your investigation. And that's something that you really don't want to mess with. Or
And it's like when we go on investigations, like say if Chris has a bad day that day and he calls up and says, Paul, I can't make it because my day is really bad, the best thing to do is stay home.
right, step aside.
Right, step aside
And
because
that's what a lot of people don't know how to differentiate
Right.
between the two. You know.
you got to go in with an open mind. You can't go in with a lot of shit on your
Right.
mind.
And that's some of the things that you'll get to experience in this podcast. We'll talk about some of those things, and that's practically what the podcast is about.
Right.
Us talking about our experiences, and
And we're going to have people on, guests on from
yeah,
time
we're
to
gonna have some
time.
guests from time to time. We'll have some really cool guests. We'll have some guests that have been doing this much longer than I have. So it's not long. Paul has been
What's-
doing it for a while now.
What's it been? How many years?
Probably like 4 or 5. Somewhere.
I've been doing this for almost 38 years.
I know. That's why I said old school versus new school.
That's right. And I love old school. I mean, I like a lot of the technology today, but nothing like the old school.
And I'm teaching them some of the new ways
Right.
of conducting investigations and doing things and things that I've had work for me in the past.
Right.
And that's what kind of makes this very interesting, because he brings a little bit of the old school, which I'm not used to. Not saying that I'm not used to it, I'm just not really I don't know much about the old school ways. And like I've always said, and this is one of my things.
And
that
you're
I've always-
tech savvy too. I mean,
I have to be.
right.
You have
One
to
of
be,
us has
especially
to
when
be.
you do when you do a lot of this stuff, like investigations
Right.
and things like that. You have to be tech savvy because you want to be able to pull the evidence out. You want to be able to listen to what you're getting in that recorder and clearing it up a little
Right.
bit to be able to compare it to the history and
Right.
compare it to what's there, whatever family you're trying to help out, which is another podcast of itself.
Right.
But like I said, I mean, you've heard me say it. I've been doing this maybe 4 to 5 years, somewhere around there. What got me into it is practically my old house. My old house had a lot of activity that used to happen, things that were unexplained. You would hear voices. You would see little kids walking up. You would get voices asking you questions at time to time. Is normally when you least expect it.
This was in Puerto Rico.
No, this is my,
Oh, the
my
United
old
States.
house. Yeah, this is the house before living here. So that's what really got me interested in the paranormal. Not that I wasn't interested in it before, which I was, but I grew up in the old school house where, you're not allowed to talk about it, you're not allowed to look at this, you're not allowed to say you're hearing these things because it doesn't exist. And the moral of the story is that it does exist, it does happen, there's things that we can't explain. A lot of people are afraid of it, therefore they choose to ignore it.
See, and that's how it was when my family was doing it back in the late 50s, the 60s. And when I started back in the 70s, nobody talked about the paranormal. If they did, they thought you were nuts.
Right.
So nobody talked about it. It was all hushed and swept underneath the carpet.
Yeah, and that's how I grew up. Some of my hobbies. I mean, I'm like I'm a regular person just like you guys. I like going out, I like shooting some guns, I like doing this and that. But the main reason we're here is because this is the intro to us. This
Right.
is...
And everything about us is not all paranormal. I mean,
No, we're just normal people like you guys.
I mean, like you just said, what your hobby? My hobbies, I like trains. I like anything on deer. I like reading.
And that's practically how, I got started into this whole paranormal quest, as I call it. I ended up joining a group. Precision Paranormal was a group I joined. I was with them for a little while. Sorry, hit the microphone here. I was with them for a little while, then I ended up expanding my horizon. I started the Adventures of Gary and Chris at that time. And then from there, that didn't work out, so I ended up got stuck with him.
I invited myself.
So, United for the Unknown was another thing that I started, which is still, it's still there. It's just, I don't really pursue it too much at this time since we have a lot of things here, experiences of the unknown, that we're expanding our horizons. We're getting better things, how do I put this? We're getting more investigations. We have new things coming up that we still haven't talked about, which you guys will hear on our podcast.
In time.
There's things we're currently working on that are going to be big, and you guys are going to enjoy it.
I mean, we have a lot coming up in 2021. But,
yeah. So as of right now, we're starting to take or step forward with that. One of the things that we had coming up is this podcast. Podcasts we're definitely starting. Look at that. It killed the battery again.
Oh, always does.
Yeah. So one of the things that we actually have been going through with this podcast, we originally started as the Facebook Live. For some reason, we're having something in the studio that we just currently built not agreeing with us, doesn't want us to go live. Anytime we try to do anything, it tends to not work out because of the unexplained, really.
Right. But a lot of times when we pre-record,
everything works.
Everything works.
It's fine. It's not until we go live. But then, take the show over. I'm gonna go try to fix this camera. Excuse me for a few seconds.
Anyway, I like to tell a little bit more about myself while he's fixing that. I didn't have a chance to tell you guys. I founded 3 paranormal groups. The first one was BCPI, Bronte County Paranormal Investigations. After a 10-year run, I decided to fold that and go freelance for a while, which I had a good time. I get to meet a lot of people in the paranormal field. Then I started Paranormal 66 for a couple of years and folded that and freelanced again. And then I met this...
he met me.
This young'un here.
Where did we meet, Paul? Where did we actually meet? How did this come about?
We met at Gettysburg Bash.
We met at Gettysburg Bash.
Yes.
Tell them how we met.
2019. Well,
we were just talking about this.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before we went on the air. Tina and I, we were out making our rounds, talking to different people in the paranormal field, and talking to Ron Iacovetti and Lourdes, and all these people kept walking up right behind them, and all of a sudden, here comes these two. It was you and your nephew, Mikey. I'm like, boy, they're snotty little brats. So let me paint this picture. We're walking around. Brats.
I was like, you know what? The only way to get recognized is to walk like you're somebody. So we're walking around like we're famous people or something. And
giving the royal wave.
We had people
to
coming
tables
up
as
to
they
us.
by.
We had people coming up to us thinking we were actually like somebody. Like it was kind of funny actually.
And I'm standing there, I'm like, little snot rags. And what was the first thing? What was the first thing I told you to when you guys walked up to me?
Don't ever forget where you guys came from.
Because at that time I thought they did. But you were a good kid. I mean,
yeah. Paul was a little. He was definitely a little shy at first. He was just like, oh man, like these two.
I looked at Tina. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with these two?
But
little did I know I was going to end up working with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ever since then, when I had the other podcast, we ended up having Tina and Paul on for a little while, and kind of
that
like
was
the
a ball
relationship.
of gas. Let me tell
smacking
you.
this microphone.
What's that?
I keep smacking the microphone.
That's what that noise is.
Yeah. So we kind of just grew the relationship from there, you know? And here we are today.
Actually, I invited
Experiences of
myself.
the unknown. Yeah. So
I heard
practically how this went about.
I heard you want to start a podcast. I looked at him like, who's he going to do it with? Who's going to? She goes, I don't know who's to do it. I said, call him, tell him I'll do it with him.
The next thing you know, I have a phone call from Tina saying, "Hey, Paul's interested in doing something with you." I said, "Cool." Tell him to grab a number. I call him back.
It worked. He heard. I was right at his door. Let me in.
He never gave up. He never gave up. But hey, here we are. Here we are today. Here we are today. We have the podcast. And we're going to be having a YouTube show coming on soon,
Yeah.
which you guys will really enjoy. I was going to say maybe, but no,
I think
you
they're
guys
going
will
to
definitely enjoy. That's something I'm working a little bit more of my knowledge
Even-
of production.
And the format of it is now I've investigated in the whole 38 years, and I never investigated the way that we're
Right.
doing it on this project.
Yeah, and this format is completely different. Not something that you've seen on TV. It's not something that you've seen really anywhere.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's original, and it's something that I came up with at a very special time, and at a very special time, right?
Right.
And
And we got one project filmed already,
yeah,
and this is the first time I had to run and dive, holding the camera.
so you guys would see that. Like you guys are gonna see that if you're watching this podcast, or if you start watching the first episode, season 1, episode 1, because we're planning to having more seasons to it on YouTube. I'm sorry. We are going to be throwing little teasers out there on YouTube here and there, just showing you guys what the show's going to be about. And
Not too much on Facebook though, but more on
No.
YouTube.
I'm not too happy with Facebook. Facebook
No.
kept freezing up on me and everything like that. But then again, we do have some things going on in the studio. Therefore, who knows? You know what I mean? At first, I kind of chopped it off as it was a computer issue. But when you've used 3 different types of computers
Yeah.
all at the same time, and then you say you don't care, you're going to start recording from your phone and cut your internet out, that's a little unexplainable to me.
And if you're able to ever come and check out our studio, we got high tech, a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys can't see.
Yeah, we have.
It just wasn't working.
We have multiple camera angles. We have like everything that we have. I mean, the computer itself that I have is like over $2,000, and it's just for some reason it was just given out. Used a laptop, and it would work every time we did anything with practically
Right.
like off, not going live. Anytime we went live, it was just
I mean, it really pissed us off. We said, screw it.
yeah.
We were like really mad, got pissed off. We just ended up turning the lights out, closed up the studio, and went home.
Yeah, I ended up cussing out whatever was here and pissed it off and turned the internet off. You remember that?
Yep.
Just shut the internet right off. And the router is right behind us. It's plugged into the wall. I have a cable running into the house for Ethernet. Like everything's set up. Like the computer is actually set up through Ethernet connection, not just Wi-Fi. So there really shouldn't be any issues or any reason why we were having issues. And
Hopefully not.
it's a gaming computer, so it's got like all the CPUs and everything that you need for it. And it's just, I still don't get it.
Hey,
Just now, like we were just shooting this video, and for some reason that camera stopped. Batteries tend to just drain very quickly. And we still, till now, like I said, still can't explain it. So that is why we are doing our podcast.
that's right.
Let me see. I have some pointers here, so I'm trying to look through like what explains.
He's got his
this a little
script
bit.
over here.
So how did we meet? We met, and we already covered that. How
Yep,
did we get to this point?
Yep.
To United for the No, we covered that already.
Yep. What else you got over there?
Oh, so the projects we started working on, we covered that
We
already.
covered that.
Covered that.
Oh my.
What are our plans for this podcast, Paul?
Do
what
we
are-
actually have any plans? I mean, which way it's going to take us. I mean,
Yes. Do we have any upcoming episodes? Like,
oh, we're going to have a lot more episodes.
what's one of our upcoming episodes do you think we'll do next?
How about the Philadelphia experiment?
Sounds
That's a
good.
nice topic.
That's a very good topic.
Black Eyed Kids. That's nice.
Black-eyed kids. Yes.
Bigfoot.
We'll take it a different direction than what other podcasters have taken it though,
Right.
because there's a lot of different explanations or
What for the
Attempt.
Philadelphia?
No, for
The Black Eyed Kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's the Black Eyed Kids. It's just like one topic that you can just talk about and talk about and talk about. There's so many different possibilities, different theories of what they are, and
I mean, there's a lot of different theories about that. I mean, it's bigger in the United Kingdom, the Black Eyed Kids, but now
everything's bigger in the United Kingdom.
yeah,
though.
but now like there's stories popping up in the United States.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's been circling around for a little while. We'll try to focus on things that are local too. Like the Jersey Devil. Jersey Devil's definitely one of them.
And he's right in your back door, the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
My door and your door. I mean,
we can practically do one of our new episodes there.
yeah.
Keep an eye out for it. There were little feelers out there.
And Bigfoot. I mean, I'm just in love with Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Yes.
So Bigfoot is a big thing. Like we actually have something very special with Bigfoot.
That's going to be
who
coming on.
We'll be doing a podcast with, which should definitely be interesting to hear because.
But we're not going to give their name yet, though.
No. So this is one of the things that I've actually always wanted to talk about and actually look into because I've never really had a chance to look into it. This is something that I'm not too familiar with, but willing to learn.
And I do have a story to tell, but I want to save it for the episode that we do Bigfoot.
So we're just kind of giving you guys feelers of like what this is going to be about and like what.
And that was in the Pines too.
Yeah.
With the Bigfoot sighting in the Pines.
Yeah. So we'll have that. We'll have an expert. She's an expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Definitely.
have an expert coming.
Yep.
And that'll be like some of the things that we'll be talking about. Also, like.
I reached out to her and I asked her, I said, "Hey, would you like to come onto the podcast?" She goes, "I'd love to."
Yeah.
So.
This is someone who has a lot of experience with Bigfoot, who has studied this for a very long time.
And we're going to be doing a project with her down the road as well. So.
We are. And like I said,
Yes.
2021 is pretty big for us. So this is something, probably one of the reasons why I focus more on experiences for the unknown than what I have United for the Unknown recently. So this is something big.
And it's the same way with me freelancing. I decided to, other projects I was working on, I decided to set that aside and focus on.
If you guys don't know, Paul's working on a book, right?
2 books, actually.
2 books. He's working on 2 books, and this experiences for the unknown, he took it to heart, and this is something that he's been working on.
So I decided to put the 2 books here for now.
I told him not to, but he wanted to. He just.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
I told him to just keep working on it, but he's just like, "Oh, I'll work on this." Like, all right.
I put it out, work on it, because it's something that I don't want to rush on because I don't want it to look stupid or sound stupid or.
Right.
But it's something that you can't rush anyway.
Right, and there's certain things out there that you don't want to rush. Point blank, we tried rushing the Facebook thing, and
because with the one book, it's like I gotta watch how I word it because I know I'm gonna piss this person off,
right,
and this person off. But
nowadays it's hard to keep people happy.
I
That's
know.
something
I
that
know.
it's taken me a while to actually realize, to actually learn. But you can't keep everybody happy. You just have to do what makes you happy.
that's right. That's right.
You know,
It's like with the podcast, they either gonna like us or they're not gonna like us.
right.
And if they don't like us, I'd rather them not tell us. But
No, they can tell us. Be
Yeah,
honest.
what the hell, they can
man,
tell us.
I can take constructive criticism because that only makes me better at what I do.
right,
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't mind. Hey, tell me, hey, you fuck this up. Okay, I'll fix it for next.
right.
But if it's something that's actual, like logical, don't come up with some like stupid story or something that
Right.
doesn't make sense. But,
Right.
Yeah. What has been one of your craziest experience, like your own personal experiences while doing anything paranormal? Which this will also be another episode of its own, but we can cover a little bit of that right now.
Something. I've experienced a lot. Okay, here's a story. Like I said, the paranormal has been in my family. I was spending the night at my grandparents'.
Excuse me, I gotta go fix the camera again for some reason. It's not.
Anyway, I was spending the night over my grandparents' house, and my grandmother's reading a book. I'm down on the floor. I forget what I was doing. This was back in the late 70s. I was about 10, 11 years old. And my grandparents' house was a humongous house. It used to be a barn at one time. And it had an upstairs apartment. And only had one entranceway. And the steps used to go right over top of my grandparents' living room. And they were watching TV. Like I said, my grandmother's reading. All of a sudden, you could hear walking up the steps. And like I said, my grandmother investigate thousands of times, so it was nothing new to her.
Right.
Then it would get up to the top, and then all of a sudden it would go back down the steps. I sit right up. I'm like, "Did you hear that, Grandma?" And she was, "Oh yeah. Does it every night." So we went out, checked the door. The door was locked because nobody was living up in the apartment at the time.
Right.
So we go back in, sit down. Next thing you know, we hear going back up and then going back down. But yeah, he never went upstairs and he never came out the door. So
No explanation.
yeah, no
It's pretty cool.
explanation. But that's one of the many stories that I could tell through my years of investigating. Well, that wasn't investigating, but I've experienced.
One of the ones that I've actually has stayed with me for a while was cemetery that we went to. I ended up taking my boss's daughter at the time, Christina. She's never investigated before, so I ended up bringing her there. It was myself and like 3 other people. As soon as we got there, she's never investigated. She's never had any experiences, which normally it's good when you're going out for your first time. So while we're there, we pull up. We're waiting for everybody else to show up.
Now, was this your first investigating?
No, it's not my first time investigating.
But hers?
It was hers.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we were showing her because obviously I've taken you to the same cemetery. There's a lot of things that happen there that are unexplained.
Oh, that's where we did her first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're sitting there waiting for everybody else to show up. We happen to look over at a tombstone. Right behind that, you see something running. It's running at full pace
Wow.
behind a tombstone. And we're trying to figure out what it is. It almost looked like a person for a minute. But the weird, interesting part was that it was white. And as it's running, it's changing colors. It's going from white to like a darker color white. And it's just darkening up. So it gets up to like a dark gray.
Right.
Then it turns into a shadow figure, like as it's running. It stops behind one of the tombstones. Have you ever released a balloon with like helium in it and it goes
Yes.
up like very slowly? It stops running behind the tombstones out of nowhere. It just starts floating up into the sky.
Yeah.
And we're watching this whole thing. I have the camera in my hand trying to record it, but it was so far away it wasn't capturing anything. It goes up to the sky. As it goes up to the sky, like we can watch it at the sky. We're like, what the fuck is this shit? She's freaking out. I'm trying to keep it together, but I'm like, what
Right.
the hell is it? Like I don't know what it is. So like, there's no explanation for it. And out of nowhere, it just disappeared in the sky. I'm like,
Wow.
I had no explanation for it, from running behind the tombstones to like just floating up into the sky. It was the weirdest thing ever.
I find cemeteries very like calming, except for the one that we were just at not long ago.
Right.
That was a whole different story.
When you guys
That's
went
on
to
the darker
cemetery,
side.
Cemeteries, there's, like I said, a lot of unknown things that happen there. Till this day, like there's some experiences that I've had there that I can't explain. I mean, I'm sure you had some when we went there last time.
Yeah. Actually, twice I was there. I got something different each time. But schools, I find schools to be extremely haunted.
There are schools that, man, one of my experiences with the school that was next to that cemetery, which we had a full conversation with something that was not
Right.
there. It was myself and I can't throw his name out there, Jay Kephart. This was when I was part of my old group, and we're sitting there doing investigation in the basement, just me and him. We hear something walk into the basement with us, and we started getting yes and no responses from whatever was there. We're both recording, and the interesting part is, in fact, so we're sitting there listening to this thing, so we're like all excited because we think we're capturing this because it was so clear, like right next to us. And listening back to the video camera recorders, listening back to the recorders that we had, you can hear us asking the questions and freaking out over the answers, but you can't hear the answers. You can't hear the entity that was there answering back to it. And the cool part was that we were both able to hear the same thing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But when you investigate, sometimes you'll have that too.
Right.
Like you'll have, whatever you're listening to not come up on the recorder, which kind of sucks because a lot of times it's something really good.
And schools are very hard to get into investigate. I had the privilege of investigating at this one school. Teachers were complaining that they would hear somebody walk up the main steps, get up to the top, and go back down. So I investigated the school one night. I was able to capture the steps, somebody walking up and walking down. And then we started to turn the lights off to leave. And you could actually hear kids up on the second floor, and there was nobody up there. From one end to the other, you hear about 3 or 4 kids like run to one end, back to the other, back to the... So the 2 janitors and myself went up the steps, turned the lights back on. As soon as we hit the top of the steps, it stopped.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You
So
know, like I
schools
said-
are very well active.
And this is another part of this. Like, I mean, obviously, you guys are hopefully going to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you guys have any experiences,
Let us
you guys
know.
have experience, let us know. Send us a message, DM us, do whatever. And you can follow us at Experiences for the Unknown on Facebook, Experiences for the Unknown on Instagram, and Experiences for the Unknown on YouTube.
Yep.
So YouTube, we're just starting with it, so there's not much up there. You can follow us. Like our Facebook page has a lot of videos,
Right.
a lot of funny stuff, a lot of investigations in which we have been into. We've been to a lot of places that are known for its paranormal history and also really large
Right.
compared to some other cases. So this is definitely something new for us, the podcast aspect of thing. But investigating is not something that we both enjoy doing, something that we both enjoy learning.
Right.
And not only learning, but also being able to teach others of, our experiences and what we've had.
And every time we go out to investigate, we learn something new each time.
Yeah. One of the things I like about investigating is I get to meet new people and see how they do their investigating, because everybody does something different. It's something that I've always harped on. You can only learn from one another, and if there's no unity in any kind of aspects, I mean, at least just unite for what you guys like, what you're both passionate about. And that was something, actually, one of the reasons why me and Paul got together, because he's very passionate about it, and so am I, and this is something that we both like doing. And like I said, I like learning from others.
And I learn new shit every day. And I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Still learning new stuff.
Yeah, and it's just more of the aspect of wanting to learn and not always thinking that your investigating method is always the right way of doing things.
Right.
But yeah, so guys, it's about 32 minutes that we've been talking to you guys, talking to
2 minutes
yourself.
on overtime.
I know. So we would like to thank you guys for watching.
We do
our
appreciate
channel. We also would like to, if you guys want to hear any certain topic,
Let us know.
let us know. You guys have our social media accounts out there. Just reach out to us. We respond kind of quickly.
Even if you just want to say hello to us, just reach out to us.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you please can subscribe, also like our pages, and just
Just like us, please.
spread our word out there and let everybody know that you like this podcast. If you do, if you don't like it, then don't spread the word. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
We don't care.
we're just gonna keep it real. And that's
We
how
do
it is.
care.
We're not monetized. We're not anything like that. By all means, hey, if you guys want to sponsor us for anything, let us know. I'll test your equipment on it, whatever you want to do, but I'll be honest about it.
Yeah.
But other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe our pages, and once again, thanks for listening to us.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.